What's up, guys? It's Stobbie here with episode 10 of the Fair City podcast. We're off to the giggling start already. So today we've got another round table episode going.
It's not a round table though.
I feel like I'm missing a joke here. What did I miss?
It's more like a rectangle.
Well, it was a round table that we started at, but we chose to go for the octagonal, rectagonal.
Rectagonal?
That's the one.
Octagonal?
Yep. We went for another sized one. It's got 8 sides. Look.
No,
1, 2,
did
3,
so
4,
well
5,
in maths
6,
when he was
7,
younger.
8. Can you see the sides? Steve's
I see 8 sides. No.
Steve's with me.
I've got you.
Yeah. Anyway, so as you may have heard, I am joined by other people, but I'm going to give them proper intros because I actually took the time to write these intros. You're first, Steve. So this person went full Trump on a linebacker in American Fitbaw Cast episode 13 and hasn't slept since. He is the original sponsor of the FC podcast and host for tonight's recording. The one, the only, Ser Steve of House Wrath. How you doing, Steve?
Not too bad. Yeah, I was waiting to see how far you were going to go with that.
Yeah, no,
I'll just let people go find that themselves.
Yeah,
Probably my worst faux pas ever.
But you're right, Stu. Give him a
Public
hand.
apology needed. Oh, dude, no, that's bad. Joke, you'll only get it if you are a fan of NFL and know about Shaquem Griffin.
And go listen to American Fitbaw Cast episode 13.
That's all I'll say about that.
Over to our resident ogre who has escaped his cabin for a special appearance. Last spotted at TableTop Scotland last weekend. He will later be giving his thoughts on the event, hopefully.
I have some thoughts.
The one most likely to rage if his sign-off is interrupted, it's Stu!
Hello.
How you doing, Stu?
I'm alright. I'm very tired as usual, but it's good. Yeah, I went to see Ant-Man and the Wasp today. It was great.
Awesome, I like it. So is that we've all 4 of us have seen it now?
We could do a review bit if you want.
We could talk about that at some point. Yeah, we get to Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's fine.
Ooh.
If I can remember much about it.
You never remember much about the movies anyway,
Yeah,
so
I
you
know.
just make up a number and go
I
with it.
remember it when people talk about it. I go, oh yeah, that bit was funny back. Don't really bring much to the table by doing that.
You're here at the table
Just
already.
agree,
So.
yeah. I bring everything to the table. Finally, our in-house doggo expert,
Finally.
who's done me a heckin' laugh lots. He managed to not double book himself with cycling tonight. It's my fellow member of Hero Academy Class 1A, Bookie Paul Watson!
And here I was hoping for like some random nickname like the Lord of the Dance or something.
I just want to say I've just stolen Stobbie's notebook here that he's written all these down on, and he's got something scribbled out that he.
Yeah, so I wrote special guest,
special
but you're not a
guest.
special guest. And I wrote quarterback, but then later on I heard him saying he was a linebacker. So I went and changed it to linebacker from quarterback.
I'm surprised you can even read that.
All innocent.
How many letters have you got in later there?
Is that hieroglyphic?
Later.
So here we are,
And there's an
analysing
extra-
my handwriting.
And there's an extra E in giving.
Giving.
Where the hell is giving?
Is that what people do on Halloween?
That's not.
Down.
Giving,
Steve Ford has stricken his writing.
I just mean.
Who the hell puts a dot above an E? Well, lots
not
of
above the E,
different
though.
languages to it.
Germans.
You know, I was going to say the Germans, but you know, it's
And it's called an umlaut.
umlaut.
And there's 2 dots.
Yeah,
Double dots.
Yeah, okay. Well, one of them is a dot. You know, either of them is
Don't
a
single
dot.
out the dot.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not fair on the other dot.
So what are we
Anyway,
here for today, Stobbie?
We are
What's the first thing on your five item list?
5-item list. General chat, which we are having at the moment.
Oh, general chat. Generic banter.
I also wrote down some of that.
Archbishop of Banterbury?
Oh man.
Bantosaurus Rex.
Right, y'all sacked, okay?
Banter clause?
Banton du Bec.
That was in the chat for ages, wasn't it? I remember that.
That went on for a while. Yeah. There was
we
a
killed
great
Stu
one.
first.
Oh yeah, that was so terrible. You're such a band eater. that was you, wasn't it? You dying?
Very much.
We're trying to kill Steve, not you. Yeah. Steve's got the laugh track. While I remember, I just want to say a massive thank you to Army Freshman for the intro music. We'll always have forever. Get it on Google Play, Spotify, iTunes.
Listen to the podcast as well.
And go, yeah. That comes.
Which you'll get to
You
hear.
get a little bumper midway.
You like a little bumper midway.
What's that?
Never mind.
Yep.
I'm on episode 99 now. No fresh talk. I mean,
Physically on it, or you're listening to it?
He's on the chair.
Oh.
Yeah, man. That's terrible. Episode 99 now.
Did you just break yourself?
Yeah. By taking a drink at the wrong time, he's going to spit all over my floor. He's now running to the toilet. This is not because he needs a break. It's only 5 minutes in. He does not need the loo. He is just doesn't want to spit.
Stobbie has literally fallen on his own sword.
This is my wife's heart room. If we cause any damage in here, we're in trouble.
But between the three of you, this is just like a bunch of mutleys here. It's just. What is this?
I've had 2 weeks with a child who has been coughing and spluttering after I was coughing and spluttering. So my lungs are horrible.
I didn't. It wasn't even what I said that made me laugh. It was Steve's reaction.
I'm going to go home tonight having caught whooping cough or something. What on earth is
Or just be
going on?
sitting there totally bemused, like, what has just happened to me?
Because if I thought I was going to make
Seriously,
myself
whooping
laugh.
cough is horrible. I had it. I got married and I had whooping cough and I couldn't drink on my wedding day.
That's not the worst thing that happened that day, though. You got married.
That was the best thing because I didn't have to organise a wedding anymore.
That's true.
well, yeah.
Best thing about getting married the day after.
Oh, it's dangerous. So, I was at a wedding last night. So, congratulations to Liam and Shona if they're listening. And their wedding, it was a beautiful occasion.
It's a lovely
the
wedding
reception.
present to give them a name
A shout
drop
out
on
on-
a-
yeah,
on-
yeah. I gave them a
on
present
a
as well.
local
Don't-
podcast.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry.
Did they get the business card as well to go alongside?
Yeah, it was in the card. Yeah.
Just as they open it, that's all it falls
Oh,
out.
wait,
It's the
where did
business
I
card.
get there?
Congratulations on your happy day. Listen to the podcast.
But I remember on my wedding day, like, Ash turned to me and she says, "So, do you feel any different?" And I was like, "That's a dangerous question." I'm thinking to myself, if I say yes, she could be like, "Oh, you weirdo, I don't feel any different." Or if I say no, she'd be like, "Why not?" You know. I'm like,
Loaded questions.
yeah. So I'm like, do you?
Masterfully done.
Well done.
And she just goes, "Nah, not really." I was like, no different. So sorry, it's just
cool
a,
story, bro.
yeah. You're welcome. Yeah, it gets better than that, but this is a family podcast.
Oh, is it?
The disappointment reigns through. It's like,
Paul goes against his code.
damn it. Not having this anymore.
Screen went off. Just checking.
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ah,
yes.
yeah,
The egg goes and stands up. Because I'm not playing with the computer.
Anyway, as we talked about before, so last weekend was TableTop Scotland, which was the subject of episode 9, where we talked with Dave, the convention overlord.
Yes.
So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, pause now, go back and listen to episode 9.
Then go back and listen to all the other podcasts.
Obviously.
So you know the continuity
Yes.
and all the in jokes.
Because it's all in canon.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then go
Basic.
listen to all of the AF's podcasts. Just in case there's any.
You listen to
reference.
13 first, just so you can get the intro joke.
Yeah.
So that's the important one.
Yeah.
But, the rest of them are
But
cool
this
as
is the
well.
But,
extended...
and then the
Blood
next
Moon
episode's going to be set between episodes 4 and 5.
As a
The
sort of
Quantum
back,
Realm.
as a
Prequel.
backstory.
Prequel, yeah.
But why do I
Backstory.
feel we're moving into a different terrible...
We're into extended universe here.
I can't cope with it all.
It's like
Still better than the DCEU.
It's like Star Wars Rogue One. Star Wars 3.5.
3.2.
So Tabletop Scotland, Steve, Stu and myself all attended in various timescales, I guess would be the...
I was there for many hours.
You were there for many hours, Steve was there for a good few hours, and I was there for a couple.
with
Yeah.
kids.
With
so,
kids,
yeah.
So
And I was
got a
there for
different
no
experience.
hours, so we have many, a few, a couple, and nil.
So what were your thoughts on
Broad
the
prospect, yeah.
I thought it was
What were your thoughts on our coverage of the event?
stellar,
Yeah.
absolutely stellar.
Yes, that's good to
Good
hear.
save.
We've not published anything yet, but thanks for that.
You know what a Tabletop Scotland is.
Oh, it's people doing each other on tabletops. Yeah,
Exactly, yeah. It's actually
With
a,
cards and dice and toys.
yeah.
Isn't there a tabletop mountain?
There's dungeons and
Oh, there's Dungeons and Dragons.
tabletop
And
mountain.
dragons, Jesus Christ!
The cute,
You've seen those toys,
the
haven't you?
usual cute fluffy dragons, like in Harry Potter, though. You know. So,
Don't get me started.
so Steve, tell us about your experience on Tabletop Scotland.
No, it was really good actually, because I didn't really know what I was walking into being a very
Dewars ice
gamer.
rink.
Well,
It's had 2 weeks where people don't appreciate this. This isn't stopping.
so, well, yes.
Well, the car park, possibly first.
Well, because I had my 2 kids with me, I pretty much got commandeered into the Hava zone, which is the young gaming zone. To play games with them for an hour and a half before I first bumped into you guys, and it was brilliant. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. The kids had a blast, and that was the thing. It definitely had a total family friendly vibe to it. So yeah, absolutely. It's not like just a group of 30 to 50-year-old geeks from years past. Yeah, and the fact they had official tournaments was brilliant. I mean, I think it was a really good thing for Perth. Getting that in here, it's already renewed for next year. I know they provisionally booked the venue.
They've booked the venue.
It seems to be, and Dave seems to be talking about what he knows what he wants to do next.
Yeah,
I think it would have to have been an absolute car crash for him not to be doing it again next year.
1,067 separate attendees over the weekend.
Brilliant. Because
Saturday was
700 in advance.
They
So that means they got another 300
got
walk-ins.
700, 800.
Yeah. And then a couple
actual
hundred
tickets,
walk-ins.
and then a few extra.
That's
walk-ins.
pretty good. Like that. Is
And when you
pretty
say they've booked the venue in advance, is it for Jurors again?
Yes.
Dewars will be, I believe it's going to be Dewars again. I don't know. They haven't confirmed the date.
Yeah.
But,
Roundabout
they have
same
been
thing, I'm assuming.
talking about like the fact that there will be another one next year.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that he did mention in episode 9 was the fact that venue's kind of future-proofed a bit as well. They can expand up to a certain point in there quite easily. So
There's certain things, I think, from my looking at it, like there's certain things they did the bring and buy, and there was a lot of space in there that they didn't really actually use because it was just like half of the room that was there. But they've also got the access to the ice rink if they put a floor down on the ice rink as well,
which is the same size.
which is the same size again. So they can either
they can
they can
easily
either shift to
double.
there, or they can have the whole thing being open like that. So
Yeah.
there's
Lots of room.
They could have used the sort of the basement car park to make people feel a bit more at home as well, though. Couldn't they? So,
actually in the dungeon. The Dungeons and Dragons tournament is held in the underground car park.
no, I mean, that's just going back to what Kev and I had said with Dave before about the sort of the stereotypical D&D players, you know, sitting in the basement like in Stranger Things.
oh yeah.
Yeah, again at that
I've been
with the dice. You know,
Oh dear. Yeah.
I've been to a lot of these
like
conventions and like national role playing meetups, and we gamers do not give ourselves much of a chance. It's always the long black trench coats, the long, not particularly well kept hair, the beards, the glasses, and there's a certain point where you just go, oh wow, it's very monochromatic.
but haircuts and hair care and things like that takes time away from enjoying what you're doing.
This is true.
Yeah,
But like,
that's commitment.
what was your thoughts on it? Because you've had such a vague touch on gaming in the past.
Yeah. So I mean, my experience, and I've talked about this on several podcasts before. My experience of games is really, it's been like, I don't know what these guys are saying. I don't know what's going on. It's my turn. What do? Roll the dice and just hit it. Okay, I will.
Is that not like just life in general?
You've seen me in team meetings, yeah.
So Stobbie's the man with no imagination.
Don't know what's happening. Don't know what's going on. Where am I?
I've been here 3 years now.
He's just constantly living memento.
Oh dear. Yeah. There's a thought.
Is that the
The film.
Yeah, the Robin Williams film. Yeah.
No.
Guy Pearce. Oh no, I'm confused.
I'm thinking of 1 Hour Photo. Sorry.
I was going to say that was exactly what I was. It's got photographs in it.
That's got one of the creepiest scenes I've ever seen in a film.
Which one are we talking about?
1 Hour Photo.
We're back to that. Right?
Yeah,
I've not
but
seen
what-
it. I quite fancied seeing it.
Oh,
because it was
Steve
really-
can't keep up
It's a
with the
Because
British
Robin
accent.
Williams was completely different in that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just about everything else he's done.
Very dramatic.
But there's just this one scene where
Such
the
rage.
nightmare scene. The nightmare scene.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, that is horrible.
Yes.
There's another good film with Robin Williams actually where he's very different. Is The Angriest Man in Brooklyn. I think it was like one of his last ever
one of the
films.
last ones.
It's worth a watch. It's not a great film, but it's quite good. It's got him, Peter Dinklage. Who's the wife again? The ex-wife. She's quite famous as well, isn't she?
Mila Kunis is in it, isn't she?
She's the doctor. Yeah, there's a cast of 4, and there's one more person, and it is quite a fun film. Anyway, yeah. So I went into Tabletop Scotland not really knowing much about, especially not current games, beyond what had been discussed on the podcast to a certain extent. If it had been described in detail, I had an idea. And I agree with what Steve was saying. I thought it was fantastic. Had I had the day to go there, like the full day, I'd have wandered around for a bit and then I'd have gone into the gateway zone. I'd have learnt some games and then I'd have gone and played them.
Yes.
And
that was the one thing I sort of
outstanding,
regretted, because obviously I was with you guys and I was sitting there going, oh, we should try to play some games, and we just never did. And I was sitting there going, oh, it'd be great to show you that side of it, like show you a game and stuff like that, but it just never happened. Like we were just so busy wandering around seeing people.
Yeah, and that was it. And we didn't have that much time, to be honest. I wanted to get some pictures. I wanted to speak to certain people, which I failed.
Which people?
A couple of that.
We got a good chat with Big Dog Games.
Yeah, so
Big Dog Books, sorry.
Spoke to Stuart at Big Dog Books, so that was good. Never got a chance to speak to Bez, the guy who was running. I wanted to speak to him properly, but he was busy when we were there, so...
He was the guy who ran the game that...
Tizzy ran,
yes.
yeah, Tizzy went into... Yeah, him. So
Who's this was hilarious, because Tizzy hates games in every shape or form. She got roped into playing this, kind of...
Against her will.
Kind of against her will. But as soon as she got in there, it was like Game Face was on, and she was bossing it.
Oh, she did really well.
I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
I was taking her afterwards. She's like, it's just because I'm so ultra competitive. I was like, yes, you are, well.
that's kind of why I resist playing games sometimes as well, is because...
Are you the person that throws the table at the end and goes, rah?
I try, but I'm not strong enough. I usually just tip my chair backwards and fall and crack my head. You know? So,
it's like those kids in the high chairs.
yeah, that's me.
Well, he actually has a high chair.
It's a booster seat. Fuck off. And yeah, and I thought that like the Gateway Zone was genius. But from looking at the convention guide and speaking to Dave and seeing the layout of the place and that, you knew it was going to be good. You just knew. And then
a lot
you
of
go
good
up,
thoughts gone into it.
yeah, exactly. So then you had all the stalls, you had the exhibitors and things like that. That DMB Games, is it?
DMB Games.
Oh, they are stunning boards. That was the ones with the Aliens versus Predator
Oh, yeah. Yes.
and Colonial Marines
Yeah.
one. That was just amazing. So seeing all them, and then you're like, oh wow, this is so big. And then you took us upstairs.
The experience.
So quick chat with Dave, and then we went upstairs and 3 rooms, was it? Plus
so
the bringing back.
there was a balcony that overlooked the main hall, and
Yep.
there was a
That was only Dungeons and Dragons.
that was
played
no
there.
that was Adventures League. So that was the organised play Dungeons and Dragons, which I will
Whoa,
explain.
was there like two different things?
So there was open role playing, which was just literally one-off sessions where you basically drop in
yes,
and
I know
play,
what you're talking
but
about.
there was no
Yes.
continuity.
Got you.
And
yes.
then there was another section, which is essentially what they call the Adventure League, which is you play the same character in different games, and you basically level him up and continue on through each one. So they were those bits, and then you had another room where like all the board game competitions were getting played, and the card game stuff was going on, all the tournaments, and then on the other side of the canteen area, which me and my missus got the chance to try out, which was very nice. Their burgers were awesome.
Yeah.
They had the big bring and buy, which bring and buys are very hit and miss in these sort of things because it very much depends what is brought. But it's almost as we spoke to Dave.
Yeah, tickle your fancy there.
I
Still with
just
that.
did, yeah.
What a joke.
I did, because I've never actually thought of it like that, you know. So
I'm just laying it down as the bring and buys depend on what is brought.
I'm actually no, I'm
and
just
then
laughing
bought.
at something that was said 5 minutes ago.
Okay, fair
So
But yeah, no, there was so much more beyond that, and it was just really well organised. For me, having experience of going to these sort of cons, I felt it was way more spacious than I thought it was going to be. There was no crowding, there was no bottlenecking in any of the areas. You didn't have to navigate around things or people getting busy. You could always walk around. Like on the Sunday, we had the mini kaiju there in the morning, and he was just wandering around the stalls, looking at things, and just sort of stomping about. And then there was no danger of him getting trampled.
I love the stomping action there.
Oh, he
As
does.
well.
He roars as
we'll
well.
get a gif on the
when he gets
website
going,
of it.
He just goes. All the vendors were really great. Always chatting to you about telling about bits and pieces. I'd met the DMB guys at UK Game Expo earlier this year. I said chat to them then, and I got a very good deal on their board pieces, and they told us all about the bits and pieces and stuff that's coming up with them. The 2/3 of when 2/3 of your main hall is open gaming or gaming of some sort where you can just sit down and play, and there's a games library, there's There's demos going on, like various reports. I didn't get a chance to do any playtesting, but various reports coming out of the playtest zone was that it was run amazingly well. All the guys who were providing the games were really impressed with how their games were being presented to people. The people who were getting a chance to play them were really pleased with the chance to play these new games that were going to be coming out soon. So everyone was getting what they wanted out of the event. And for Perth, it's a big event.
Yeah.
This event bypassed Edinburgh. It bypassed Glasgow, it bypassed Aberdeen and Inverness and came to Perth. And for gaming circles, it's putting Perth on the map as a location that is viable to run these sort of things.
Yeah.
You might see more cons of different things coming to Perth in that way, and that's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And the venue, like we've said, the venue is ideal for these kind of things. So if you're thinking about running a con of your own, come and have a look at Perth. That sounds like I'm inviting hustlers to come up and running a con, the long con, yeah.
What are they trying to steal?
Mickey Bricks is coming up. What's that?
What are they trying to steal?
Oh, it
Does
depends.
Perth have anything worth stealing?
Ice.
Not since Gene Rattery left.
Oh, we went there. Let's take a minute and reflect.
I'm not entirely sure what's worse now. You're in a
Is that the
foul hat.
Steve, you're becoming a liability here.
Well, I was thinking of Perth, the fair city, fair maiden, and Gene Rattery's name just appeared in my head.
So you went fair mid.
Understandable.
Anyway.
So, overall thoughts then. Tabletop Scotland,
It's the most
great.
womanly thing. Anyway.
I did that a few times on Friday, so like, anyway, enough of my talk. Someone else?
So yeah, Tabletop Scotland, a resounding success.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say so. Like everything I've heard coming out of it is like that it did really well, and the fact that it's the first time it's ever been run that's a miracle. Absolute miracle.
Yeah, I agree as well. Yeah.
Paul was there, and it is
In spirit.
Yeah.
I like how Paul and I are representing though.
Yes, we're advertising to ourselves, are we?
Yeah, absolutely. I was tempted to ask for a 360 camera for this, but then I didn't know if you could, who would actually watch a 360 video? So a 360
You know
video would be
Who would
cool.
watch a 360 video of us sitting in the
Exactly.
craft room sweating?
I think it would be a pretty cool way to watch a podcast though, if it was like one that you liked, and you were quite into, and you could sit and almost be in the room with a headset on, looking at the guys as they're talking. I think that'd be quite fun.
So where's
gimmicky.
so it'll put your head basically where the microphone is, and you could
Where the camera is, yeah. So I put the camera in the middle.
Yeah.
So
And
that
then,
would
yeah.
mean that Paul would have to sit down and pull his trousers up.
Yeah.
So they could be sitting there looking at you, but they would actually have to turn around to see me.
If you're using the VR headset, yeah.
You'd be behind them, so you could do the V's
right,
and all
okay.
that sort of
Because
stuff.
Right,
it
I
would be
didn't get that.
recorded in full 360.
I was just thinking like a 360 camera like at work where you can get everyone in the room, but it just comes up in a banner.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't know. Because I think if you watch it
You've
on your
fallen
phone...
asleep. Sorry, I've got in a really boring chat here now.
Paul's just pretending. Unzipping just like he does when My Hero Academia comes on.
Fuck yeah.
We'll get there.
Is that one of your 5 topics?
That's one of my... Well,
Oh, it's one of the topics.
TV.
Oh, yes. It's the only reason I'm
TV
here.
if there's crime.
Time.
The long con.
I could pick on everyone else's spelling here. I refrain on a number of occasions.
This is why I'm wearing the
You should
shirt.
love it,
that
so you
he
could prick on it.
Read what's
Yeah.
going on.
Prick on it.
Steve Board is the Steve Board is
It's a verbal Steve board. You know, there's verbal autocorrects, like when you want to say,
I
not
just thought I
fuck
picked up
off,
on one there.
but you say, I do. You know, so... anyway, podcasts.
That was funny.
Yeah,
Yes,
thanks.
we're on one.
Yeah. Yes, we
We're
are on one.
currently in one.
But have we been listening to other podcasts
Do
recently?
you know what podcast I've been listening to recently? The AF Cast.
Ah, thanks, bud.
I'm really enjoying it.
They've had their mentions. They're
Oh,
off
okay,
the-
I'll be done then, I'll be done then.
We've ticked you.
Oh, in that case, I
Their
have nothing
budget's
further to
done,
add to
yeah.
this conversation.
Yeah. So
Sorry, Steve.
that's it.
I tried.
That's okay.
It's a good source of income, but they've got a tight budget,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we only mention it so many times.
Oh, okay.
You been listening to anything recently?
So, yes, but I kind of unintentionally. So I listen to Radio 5 live in the car. I know this sounds like just a weird going off topic thing.
There are other radio stations you can
Yeah.
listen to, though.
And they've been talking about various different podcasts all week. and they've been playing different snippets of them because one of their lead presenters has passed away or something.
Rachel
like
Bland,
that.
yeah.
Yes, and she had founded a podcast.
Living with Life with the Big C.
Yumi and the Big C.
That's it, Yumi
like
and the Big C, yeah.
And they were talking about how all the women who are running that podcast are going to continue it going on and everything like that, even now with her having passed on and everything.
Yep.
So they've been playing all sorts of snippets of that all week. And also the Premier League podcast as well. So yeah, had them on a lot this week.
I think I actually just taking a moment to sort of get respect for Rachel Bland and going through like cancer and still talking about it on the podcast and keeping it going. Her final tweet was actually quite strong, I thought. So she put, in the words of the legendary Frank S., "I'm afraid the time has come, my friends, and suddenly I'm told I've only got days. It's very surreal. Thank you so much for all the support I've received. Debs and Laws will continue with the #YouMeBigC Big C podcast. Au revoir, my friends." I thought that's quite a strong thing. So yeah, it's a sad piece.
It must be pretty weird.
Lost one of our own.
Yeah, just that if you know you've only got days to go, that leash has got that short. How different you must think of everything at that point.
Because it's almost like there's no consequences.
It's what they call the paradigm shift. It's when you just instantly look at something totally different. Because that's no one. We won't get that, and majority of the people in the UK have no idea what that's like, except the small few people, and they only get to experience it for a couple of days and whatnot. And it's just weird.
So was it just that one they were playing on the radio, or were they playing other ones as well?
It's kind of been a podcast week type thing, and they've been highlighting a lot of the ones that people on that radio station do anyway. So Robbie Savage hosts a Premier League podcast, and they were having various different versions. He gets his mum on it and things as well. So you've got it was Robbie Savage, Ian Wright, and his mum giving predictions for the upcoming league fixtures and stuff like that. And you just hear, "Oh, hello, Robert." He's like, "Oh, hello, mother." So yeah.
Does he live with his mother? Or
No, I don't think so. No.
Did you just bring her?
They would have done that in the
brings it
studio.
along.
I think that's quite a funny sort of aspect to bring into a podcast, though, is to have
totally different viewpoints.
Yeah, because to a lot of people, he's the footballer, he's the mate, he's the pundit and everything. But to her, he's her little boy.
Just Robert.
Yeah, exactly. And so her perspective of his world will be totally different to
Yeah.
Him, the people that come on, but also everyone who listens to it and knows what he's like, and then she'll just waltz in and probably put him right in his place.
Yeah. Well, there was stuff he was talking about on the podcast, but when his mum was there, about he says he remembers his dad driving him down to training at all of the different places, and it's just interesting hearing how he's like, a normal lad at the park type thing growing up, but you don't think of that when you see the pros, or in American football you don't really think about the story behind it, like that guy that you were talking about on the NFL cast this week.
He's only got one hand.
You just think, there's some incredible stories behind these guys, but all you ever see is the persona that's in front of the cameras.
Yeah, and you don't see even just the hard work going on behind it to be successful, especially if there's...
You ever seen the film The Blind Side?
Yes.
That's a true story.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's a funny one. I was talking about this the other day, is the fact that Sandra Bullock won an Oscar for Best Actress for that film, and then the following night got the Razzie for Worst Actress for another film. And
she pitched up to get it.
Yes,
bless her.
She went and done an acceptance speech for both, and I thought that's fair play to her.
That's awesome. What film was it she got a Razzie for? Miss Congeniality 2, it must have been.
No, that wasn't the same year. I can't remember. There was something.
Gravity? No,
it was pre-Gravity.
I don't know now.
I'll have a Google while we move on.
Yeah, there we go. Stu's got it there. Steve and I have been listening to the same podcast recently, Not Fresh Talk.
No, I started another one.
But another Scottish podcaster. All About Steve. We should have known the name of that.
All About Steve.
That's the name of her film. All About
Steve. She got a Razzie for.
Yeah, apparently so.
I saw her worst actress nomination for All About Steve. Sandra Bullock expressed interest coming up to pick her award. She eventually won and showed up. Wow. Stating, "I didn't believe that in Hollywood all you had to do was say you'd show up and then they would give you an award." I said I would be appearing in the Oscars a long time ago.
Bless her.
So we've been listening to another podcast which has been quite interesting actually, called Witch Murderer, and it's a couple of girls from Edinburgh, Gemma and Holly, who every week they have a sort of a topic that they give themselves, and
Like the chocolate bar.
sort of
Types of
yeah.
I'm just
Theme.
waiting to see if this is Witch Murderer WITCH or WHICH.
Which version of which?
The tension's killing me. And he can't spell, so he doesn't know. So, what is it?
Did you hear about the 3 identical witches?
Oh, here we go.
I couldn't tell which was which. So they do. They basically
Just
have this
stop.
kind of
Just
theme.
stop.
I'm carrying
No.
on. It's my podcast.
No.
I'll carry on.
No.
They've got
Bad
this theme.
Stobbie.
They've got this theme which is like UK
Epic
murders,
bad.
for example, or I can't even think cultastic, where they talk about cult murders and things.
Yeah.
And they'll both bring a story to the table, and then at the end of it, they decide which way they'd rather be murdered, based
Which
on.
of the two killers would they rather be the victim of?
And it sounds really kind of dark and like
It does,
uncomfortable.
yes. Yeah.
Yes,
They put a
Oh,
really
yeah.
good spin on it.
This
though.
sounds like a
They-
riot.
But
God.
listen
Sounds
to
really
Steve. Steve is trying to tell. Yeah.
It is. Well, one thing I really like about it is they're short and snappy episodes.
Yes.
They must hold themselves to a 25 to 30 minute window because everything is nice and small, and they only spend about 10 minutes on each version and then a couple of minutes wrapping things up at the end.
The antithesis of FCPN then.
Basically.
Yeah,
We try-
they'd be rounding up by now.
Okay.
Oh, they'd be long.
They'd be
though.
finished. They'd be
Or
edited.
they'd both be dead.
Be in
Yes.
episode 2.
One would be drowned and the other would be strangled in their sleep.
No, yeah,
That's
you get.
very uncreative by their standards, I imagine.
I don't even know where I was going with that.
No,
So,
well, yeah. So they it's not as dark as it sounds. So but they do kind of keep it lighthearted, like Steve says. They keep it short, and it's just fun, just hearing the just sort of like
It's
talking
Holly
about a
the
nurse who
Canadian.
wanted to throw a kid out the window, and one of them just goes, "Oh, they should not be a nurse." Yeah,
Is Holly the girl from
That's
Canada?
good.
I
Banter.
can't
I
remember. I
it
think
is.
so.
I think
Yeah,
Holly's the girl from Canada.
I always get
She
mixed
has
up with
I
people.
I can
So
doggo
Steve-
visitor.
Oh, hello, Oreo.
Doggo, hello there.
For the non-watching viewers at home, which is everybody, there is currently a lovely Oreo.
What kind of
Currently-
dog is he?
Well, he's a blue roan cocker spaniel.
There we go.
No, blue roan spaniel. I think he's got
Google
colours.
it.
I don't know.
Looks black to me.
Huge
Um,
paws.
Actually, that puts me back to Witch Murder. Nice wee segue.
Hold
Cleo the demon cat who invades routinely on
Ah,
episodes.
yeah.
It's quite amusing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But actually,
I'll give you
the
questions every so often.
it's possibly a mini spoiler, but the very beginning of episode 6, one of the relatives of one of the people they spoke about on episode 1 had contacted them. And I'll say no more. It's worth listening to.
Yeah,
It's really
the
enjoyable.
response is epic.
Yes.
I think.
I'm just waiting for like the X-Files music this time.
But no, it's worth a
Out
check.
there.
They've got maybe only about 14, 15 episodes.
Yeah, there's somewhere about that.
yeah, they only
it's
started a
it's
few
still
months
relatively new, yeah.
Yeah, June. I want to say June. Maybe they started in.
But it is very good, and hopefully we'll have them on the show in a few episodes' time as well. So that's
At least they're in the same time zone.
well, yeah, it's been agreed, and it might actually be an in the room interview rather than
You're going
Might-
to kidnap them.
No. Well, that could be. We could be the subject of another witch murderer. No, I'm kidding. That's,
Witch kidnapper. They'll punch off sideways. I'll steal one of them. You steal the other.
But no. Hopefully we'll get them on the show soon.
This is not admissible in court.
Yeah, because it is a very
If they do
enjoyable.
go missing now,
It
Well,
was
we know-
Kevin Kermath.
Oh, they listened to us until this point, and now that we're no longer having the interview. Sorry, girls.
Speaking of Kev, big shout out to Kev. He's still over in America.
Making meth.
Yep.
making meth, taking names.
Miss you, Kev. Wish you were here.
Currently
Really.
in Vegas. the
Said no
greatest
one
place on
ever.
earth.
I mean,
In either Paul or Stu's seat, wouldn't matter.
Nobody here has a closed bottle.
What about you, Stu? So,
I have. So I don't really get a chance to listen to that many podcasts. I listen. Yeah, I know. Mostly because I forget that I can listen to podcasts at work, and I get very busy, and then outside of that, I just have no time. But there are a couple I do enjoy listening to, and one of the ones that I do focus on a lot when I'm playing or running RPGs is the Pathfinder Academy podcast, which is on the Trailblazer Network, and it's basically a couple of guys who sit down and basically deep dive into various aspects of the Pathfinder roleplay game and basically explain it. They review a character class, talk about the features that they can use, which ones they like, which ones they don't like, talk about character builds, so if you're running a game, you get a lot of information about what your players could do. If you're playing in a game, it's a good way to sort of learn how to play your character. So I've used it a lot as a reference when I'm going, I want to play this character. What is a good thing for me to be putting in there? That sort of thing. So yeah, it's very, very good, and they have arguments, and it's brilliant because they always disagree on things, and they go beyond where I went last time in terms of rates. There's a couple of episodes
They go beyond.
They go beyond.
Plus Ultra!
Yeah, you said it.
That's an academia reference.
Yeah.
Me and Steve were both just then going,
No.
yes, lovely. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Much sense.
if you play Pathfinder, the original edition is well worth going and looking in, because they basically review the books that are out there and all the character classes and all sorts of things, and I sort of listen to that at work, which is super dull, but
No, not at all.
interesting. And
It's
I
what
find
you're
useful.
into, and that's the whole point of. In my eyes, that's the whole point of podcasts.
I also found one recently, which was a guy who takes Football Manager, the computer game, and sets up various databases and then lets them run to see what would happen. So he basically goes, what would happen if a 4th Division Scottish team got £1 billion, and then runs it forward to see what would happen. And it's like they just go straight up, and then they start seeing if they would end up winning the Premiership and how quickly they do it, or taking like a player and going, you have the perfect stats. What's your career like? And
Injured in the first match, damn it.
And I thought that was really interesting. It is literally him just going, this is what's happened. But I really like Football Manager, and I like listening to that sort of stuff. So
That's one of those really. That was like one of the original sort of long-term games.
yeah,
You know, you could. I remember my father-in-law tells me how when he was a kid, his brother would come home, switch on the Commodore 64, fire up Football Manager, spend hours renaming the players to current players, and then would not switch that computer off the entire weekend. They would just sit and play Football Manager all weekend, and reluctantly switch it off on a Sunday night.
There's a world record that's recently been broken for the longest game of Football Manager being played, where someone from who's been playing it for like stupid, like over a decade, the same save, and they've just been playing through. I cannot. I'll see if I can. If Google will answer it.
I couldn't even.
That would have to be like Chatman 3 or something.
Longest.
I mean, the computer that they use for it is so outdated.
Longest game.
10 years ago would still be Xbox 360 though, if you think about it.
Football
So
Manager player sets Guinness World Record.
10
for
years
longest
ago, we were
games.
still using chalk and slate.
In my head.
what you snort is entirely up to you.
We are a family-friendly podcast.
So the longest game of Football Manager is 157 seasons within the game, clocking over 173 days of playing in the process. To give you an idea, that amounts to more than 4,150 hours of actual playing time.
4,150 hours. That's nowhere near a decade.
Setting the record book almost took 2 years of playing the game between 2003 and 2014.
That's
I
crazy.
thought it was longer than that. I genuinely thought it was
Even
longer
2
than that.
hours, 2 years though is crazy. Yeah, 2 hours for me would be more than enough.
There's only 2 words to say here, which is challenge accepted. See you in 20.
And we never see Paul
20.
again. He returns in like 3 years with just a massive beard.
Join us in 2021, everyone.
Paul's been playing a lot of Balls Bounce Free recently, trying to take on that challenge.
This sounds like filthy
They knew what they were doing when they named that game.
Oh, that game.
This is a free mobile game that Stobbie keeps dying around level 300 and
397.
397,
Barg.
yeah, and I got to like
Etched
level
in his brain.
2,200 or something, and got to the point, I was literally sick of it, absolutely sick of it, and I said to Stobbie, as soon as I die in this game, I'm uninstalling it because I cannot be bothered with it anymore, but I have to see it through to completion.
Yeah.
I've invested so many hours into this now.
You really did.
Oh, yeah.
In each level, like, because every level you pick up a new ball, so it fires out 1, then it fires out 2, and then it fires out 3. So by the time he got to 2,000 and whatever he had, it was firing out 2,000 balls at a time. So it was taking, like, what, 5 minutes to do a level?
You know, it was like having
And the entire interaction is the
relative that, you know, you're really, really fond of, and for the first few levels you're just like, oh yeah, we're having such good time, and then they get struck down with some horrible illness, and then they hang on far too long, and you think it's going to be good for everyone if they just pass, and by the time they finally pass, you just think, thank God for that. This has just been
Who had Thursday?
so yeah, there was no remorse. I didn't even go to the funeral. It was just uninstalled.
Just burn the phone.
The phone was launched in the tape.
Rage.
Off the bridge.
We'll edit that bit out because I sound like an absolute serial killer.
Which part of we'll edit it out are you doing?
The bit that
Steve's
Steve's
going to do it. Steve's computer, he can do it.
If Steve gets to just go, we'll edit that out. Then we can.
That'll probably stay in, though.
That will stay in.
No.
Yeah.
What's up, Fair City Podcast? This is Chris and Dan from Fresh Talk. Check us out at freshtalkpodcast.com.
That's right. And if you had any idea how long it took me and Dan to do that bumper, you would actually probably never listen to us.
Totally true. Get him, Stobbie.
Next.
Next up, I was going to say if we have time, we still have time.
No, you said if it's crime.
You're interrupting me as a crime. TV, and really that's just an excuse. That's really just an excuse to go Boku no Hero Academia on the.
Well, why just let you guys take the floor for the next 10 minutes?
Me and Steve will go back into the man game. Play with Molyneux.
So, Paul has been watching this thing, My Hero Academia, right? And he's been going on about it for weeks, and he's been pressuring me to watch it.
I've been pressuring everyone to watch it.
So I finally gave in and watched it, and then I watched it again, and then I watched it again, and then I blitzed season 1 in 3 sittings. I've gotten yesterday. I watched 7 episodes in total.
I had the train journey.
I had the train journey. Yeah, that's where I watched them all.
And then he's going home tonight to watch more.
I have to watch another 2.5 tonight. 2.5 episodes tonight as well of it.
Mandatory, yeah.
Spoiler free, explain to us My Hero Academia.
Oh, just what a show. That's all you need to say.
Don't go beyond.
No. So, the premise of this show, it's an anime, so it's set in Japan, but the premise is that society, it's a bit like in X-Men, how you get the mutant gene X and whatever, and various people start to inherit powers. Well, 80% of society start getting quirks, which are their equivalent of superpowers. And society kind of determines, yeah, everyone's running nuts, we're going to have to rein this in somehow. So they say you're not allowed to use your quirks in public unless you're a licensed hero.
Superhuman Registration Act.
Essentially. But everyone's cool with it because it was carnage initially when quirks first came in, and they have to control it somehow. So you can use your powers and be a hero if you have been licensed and registered first. And the story is focusing on the primary antagonist and all of his other classmates at the Hero Academia, where he is training to become the next generation of heroes, along with all of his other classmates. And they've all got these fantastical and sometimes not so fantastical superpowers. So Iceman and it's honestly, it's like X-Men, an awful lot of them, and then you get others who you think, how on earth have they even got into the school? How is he in the school?
Power of fart.
Oh, there's one guy who has.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
If you were Fart Man, you would just sit in a bath all day.
I would, but it would be like a geyser?
It'd be like a jacuzzi.
It'd be an awesome jacuzzi, but no, they'd be so powerful the water would just disappear up into the atmosphere. So, yeah,
So
I'd be the hole in the ozone layer.
Poor Paul's so deflated because we've kind of sidetracked.
Steve did it.
Rundown.
Steve did it.
Apologies, everyone.
So, but yeah, and that's the thing. Like we've been talking about this as the equivalent like X-Men, the equivalent X-Man to some of the characters, and there's some superpowers in there that are pretty unique to it.
Dark Shadow for
one. Dark Shadow sits in my mind that it's like something, and I can't think what it is. But some of them are really unique, and it is great fun. And it really kicks off. Even like the first season, it doesn't take long for the peril to get real.
Oh yeah.
So even though these are trainee heroes, you know, obviously the villains are going to attack at some point,
and the thing that sets it apart from me from other animes that I've watched is you compare it to something like Dragon Ball, if any of you have ever watched Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z or anything, but basically it's, oh, we've got another big villain who's come along. How's Goku going to overtake him now? Oh, he's going to turn Super Saiyan. Oh, here's another villain. What are we going to do? Oh, we'll turn Super Saiyan 2. Oh, here's another villain. What are we going to do? Super Saiyan 3. It's like, hold on a minute. You're just adding a number on the end. Whereas this legitimately has consequences and has character building and character development, and it feels to me, compared to something like Dragon Ball Z, it's almost like the MCU, in that the MCU and things like Infinity War have stakes, and things like Game of Thrones, and when it has stakes, it's got more weight. Basically.
So is it when the new big bad comes, some of the original class inverted commas can't take him down, and they've got to get other people with different powers to help?
It's all about,
and also the heroes that are heroes today are handing over the mantle to this new up and coming generation of heroes, and they can't handle the current threats anymore, and all of the characters have to battle their own inner demons, before they can make it as heroes.
Yeah, and that's the thing that separates it, is it's not about just someone being really powerful and that's the end of it. It's about using your mind as well, like thinking, strategy, study, analysis and all that kind of thing. And I enjoy that part of it. I enjoy the fact that the main character has got all these notebooks where he's been studying heroes and coming up with tactics and things like that. So when people come along, he can actually think, right, to beat that person, I need to watch out for this, or I need to do this, or I need to counter that. And it does make it quite interesting. Like you say, it's not just, well, I'm super powerful, I'm just going to walk through them like that, or walk away from them in some cases. So it's very, very enjoyable, and the music's great.
The soundtrack adds to it so much. You find that with so many shows these days. I mean, we were listening to a couple of tracks on the way out in the car here the night, just from things like Westworld and Game of Thrones and things like that. And you think of certain scenes, like in Game of Thrones when the Sept of Baelor is blowing up at the end of season 6, and like that whole scene, the music was just magnificent.
10-minute track.
It's a proper highlight of
it is.
the whole series.
Because
it was kind of done in this one cut, and it was an entire from one break to a break.
The entire section.
The whole thing flowed brilliantly.
Mm-hmm. And have you seen Westworld, Steve?
Yes.
You seen Westworld, Steve?
I've seen Westworld 1, not Westworld 2.
Yeah, so it's fun.
So that scene in the first couple of episodes where they break into the bar and they've got the remixed version of Paint It Black. And it's like there's these pieces of music that can elevate an entire scene. You see this with films, you see this with like the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, Star Wars soundtrack, there's these iconic soundtracks and it just elevates a film. That's how I kind of feel with the music in My Hero Academia.
We could probably do a whole episode on movie soundtracks.
Easily. And even TV shows like Sons of Anarchy, you both know that it loves its music video moments where Kurt Sutter's got a song that he likes and he'll have almost like a montage
scene
going on
so
to his favourite songs. And even when it's not, you've got the Forest Rangers, you've got Katie Seagal, you've got White Buffalo doing songs in the background as well, and they're so good. There's countless hours of podcasting could be done on either both. Like I keep saying it, Paul, I'm listening to Infinity War soundtrack all the time at work because I love it, and then I get to the stage where it says the tune's called Get That Arm / I Feel You, and it's when Thanos is going for Vision at the end, and it's just so good, especially when you've been listening to the rest of the soundtrack and you hear the themes coming back in such much more kind of intense way, and I absolutely love it. I then have to, like, now that it's out on DVD, I can go and watch that scene again and be like,
You could easily, I'm sure there will be podcasts out there that do kind of detailed analysis on what makes these pieces flow so brilliantly. You know, but. Yeah,
and there's
so
certain instruments, there'll be certain chord patterns, you know, like hitting your major chords rather than for big events, and minor chords for the sort of more dramatic events,
kicking
things
it
like
up
that.
a gear at the right time, reining it back in, all of that stuff. Yeah.
So
it is a proper art form. Even just within
definitely.
modulating, that's the word I was looking for. Like, modulating when it's the same theme but it's kicking up a notch because it's getting more extreme.
Yeah.
Even in You Say Run, when it's quite fast going and then suddenly it slows right down and it's almost calm.
It's the only bit with a melody in it.
Yeah.
And
and then it kicks off again, you know.
And guitar and everything.
But the kind of point to that is there's certain moments in movies where you get that wonderful silence.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm not wishing to trigger anyone, but
oh yeah, no, I know where you're going with this.
Last Jedi.
That's the only scene in the film that I liked.
The hyper jump.
Yeah, magnificent.
And it's just everything's just, not only is it visually beautiful, but everything just goes quiet, and it's absolutely stunning at that stage. And then you get again watching Infinity War yesterday. There's a couple of moments where it just goes very quiet.
Yeah.
And you just suddenly, and it's like the cinema is quiet and everyone's watching, and it was just like.
I think one of them you is right before Infinity War. Right before Thanos turns up in Wakanda. It kind of goes very quiet, and you only hear kind of like the rustling of the leaves, the wind, and everything. And I think they're like, "That's him here, guys."
Yeah.
You know, and then you just see him turn up, and it's like, yeah, okay, they've built this up now.
The other bit that I think of when you talk about the silence is one of the Bourne films, where Matt Damon's fighting. I'm sure it's Joey Ansa, in the.
Yes, Supremacy
Villa.
2, isn't it?
Is it?
I think it's 2.
And they're fighting in the villa.
Only
and
because
like,
I've listened to that episode when the filmmakers had it on.
Right.
The filmmakers 36, I think.
Is it Joey Ansa? Did it? Yeah.
I'm sure that's his name.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And they're fighting, and it's there's no music.
Yeah.
And it's just you're hearing like the punch each other, you're hearing the heavy breathing, you know, you're hearing the book smack off his face when he hits him, and it's.
Sure, Logan did something
There's no
similar
music.
as well.
Yeah, it's very good because the impact of having no music at all is as apparent as having music. It's weird. It has the opposite effect, but it works the same way.
It almost raised the stakes. Really, it almost made it seem like this is so serious that we're not even going to play music here. You know, this guy is a trained assassin. You know, fighting someone who can't remember but can fight.
The other thing I love sometimes is when like people in TV or movies or anything have conditioned you to a point where they can trigger certain emotions just by like you're waiting the entire time. So in The Force Awakens, for example, they don't play the kind of the piece of music that plays when you first see Luke Skywalker in A New Hope and he glances out towards the two suns and everything, and you get the big the trumpets come in and the violins and everything like that, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's the one. They don't play that piece at all throughout The Force Awakens until right at the very end when Kylo Ren's going up with Rey, and she gets the lightsaber, and then it plays, and it's like you're just like, oh, here we go, you know. And like in My Hero Academia, that track You Say Run, as soon as that starts,
you know it's about to get real.
The fight could be a rubbish fight, and they're not rubbish fights, they're great fights, but even if it was rubbish, it would be great because you're conditioned to expect it to be great because of this.
But then they can also use that for preparing you for certain things, like especially scares. So you hear, like you say, the crescendo, so you hear like a violin, it's usually violins or strings of some kind, start to build up, and you know it's getting to a certain point, and it's either going to go, there's nothing, got you going, or you know, and someone's in your face and you're oh my god kind of thing,
or there's nothing and then they get you.
Yes.
That's the worst.
We watched the deleted scenes from Infinity War last night, and there's one which is during the Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive fight with Scarlet Witch and Vision when they're in Edinburgh, and they run away and they sort of get out off the bad guy's scent, and they're literally just standing there, and Glaive is just going tapping the glaive on the floor, and it's tap, 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 and it just cuts to Scarlet Witch, so you're sort of hiding behind a pillar, and you can see Vision in the background just sort of slumped against the ground, and it goes on, and then the tapping stops, and you're just going, there's a jump scare here, it should have happened by now. Oh my god! And then it just all of a sudden it just and it's like, I don't think I could have dealt with that scene in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing scene to have just cut out.
Because at that point you've had the fight in New York where it didn't go so well for the guys, and then you've seen Vision and Witch get kicked in already.
Yeah.
So the
Because
stakes
it's during that fight that happens. Like it's before they end up getting dragged off the top of the chapel and then into the
right. Okay.
So it's that whole, they've had that first skirmish. And like when they first introduce them, like it's all in shadows, and all you see is like these little it's not fully rendered actually, like so you can't really see it.
The very first time that Vision and Scarlet Witch stumble across them, Vision gets the glaive through the chest and everything just out of nowhere. So I mean, yeah.
And like it's that tink, tink.
I can almost hear it now. Just imagine.
It's a great deleted scene. Like I was saying, it's a great scene, but it totally wasn't needed in that movie because that jump scare would have just been mental for everyone.
What's interesting for me, to be honest, with the MCU is despite its rampant success, and it is tremendously well done, is with the exception of the soundtrack from Avengers Assemble. There's not all of that many soundtracks at all that will be iconic and
Guardians.
But that's not so much.
That's different.
That's the soundtrack and the score.
Yeah.
So scores, I get the argument, but like in terms of soundtracks, like Guardians 1 is.
There's tracks we could play here. You could just do like a quiz, just play it now, and it's, I recognise the Superman theme. I recognise that's from The Lord of the Rings. I recognise that's from Star Wars.
That's Batman.
Yeah.
That's another hand.
But every
But then if I put something
John
on
Williams,
from Thor: The Dark World, would you recognise it?
But every
Probably
character
not.
within the Marvel Universe does have a refrain. So you notice when Cap appears in Infinity War, you get that little.
It's usually the Avengers theme.
Is it the Avengers theme or is it the Captain America?
No, it's the Avengers theme.
Okay. But I do feel like there's a certain.
There's different bits of it that they play for different ones, it seems.
Yes.
Thor had the proper crescendo bit, but that might have just been. I love that. It's such a good scene. I
love that. It's just so good. Thor, Rabbit and Tree all appearing just.
Oh yeah, that's
Starly in the SmackDown.
Badass intro.
I just love the fact Thor charges off to the enemies and Rocket and Groot go with him, and it's like, what are you guys gonna do? What are you gonna do? Watch him. Just stay back and watch him, and then Thor just wipes him out.
But at that point, he is just like transcended any power levels he's ever been.
Oh yeah, he is.
He's hit like Odin
and
levels.
Bruce Banner basically says it for the audience, where he's like, you guys are so screwed now. And the audience are like, yeah, they are. Yeah, come on.
It was maybe the 20 minutes to 30 minutes prior to that scene though, the way they built it up and they were jumping between Wakanda and the Death Star, and wherever else, and
because you never see what happens. Obviously, you see the hammer going to him and hold him up, and then it just cuts off. You never see him going. I'm going this way.
What's interesting as well is in all of the trailers you actually see a scene of him putting the hammer, and then the lightning comes down. You don't see that in Infinity War. You see Stormbreakers just being formed by Groot, and then you see the lightning twitching at his fingertips.
But that's another podcast because there's so many lies in those trailers. Like Hulk,
and I love it.
Yep.
Hulk running in the
Wakanda,
stones not being there in Wakanda.
All of them running out of the trees in Wakanda, that wasn't there.
Because and we've talked about this before, but there's so many films out there where you watch the trailer and go, seems like a good film, but I know what's going to happen.
None of that's going to be in the final cut.
No. It's like they give the whole film away.
It's like the bit on Titan when after the moon's been blown and Spider-Man's swinging around. In the trailers, it just looks like he's just web swimming. But in the movie, he's collecting the Guardians who are floating away,
and he's got the Iron Spider.
And he's got the Iron Spider as well,
which wasn't in the trailer. Yeah.
So it's like there's so many,
and that's the advantages of having a lot of CGI.
You can change it very quickly.
Suits but not quickly. But you can do it. It's like putting skins on characters in games.
Ragnarok.
Exactly.
That was in
but no, I mean that is we've talked about this before, but it's almost a great topic to gather up information on and be like, watch this film, here's the plot, watch the trailer, same plot, and it gives it all away. And there are films that do it. My favourite one is Terminator Genesis.
Yeah.
Terminator Genesis is pretty bad.
The poster gives it away.
But like the DC movies are very bad for just giving away plot. Like whereas Marvel movies have gotten clever enough to be able to like
Batman versus Superman. But here's a scene with Batman standing shoulder to shoulder with Superman and Wonder Woman
going up against Doomsday.
Yeah, in the trailer, and it's like, well, there we go then.
Yeah,
That's
they should
that.
have really hidden that bit.
Although they did hide the Martha bit from the trailer, so that was a plot twist.
Plot twist or plot development?
Nobody's seen it coming. It's a twist.
I think if they put it in, could you imagine if they put that in the movie, in the trailer, and we're like, what?
I love that in Deadpool 2 when he makes that comment about, I was fighting with this guy but we discovered we had the same mum's name or something like that.
Deadpool 2's out pretty soon, isn't it? I think.
Yeah,
Sky Store
if it's
have
not
it
out already.
soonish, which means it's probably very close.
Although you can get it from other places too.
There are other distributors.
Non-nefarious means everyone, please. Thank you very much.
I love the use of the word nefarious. Dr. Nefario. Just makes me
21 fart gun salute.
Man, that scene's hilarious. I said dart gun.
Not
Never
fart gun.
mind.
Oh, yeah.
So we've actually successfully covered every topic that I wrote down. I'm quite happy.
All over the place.
All 5, one of which was general chit chat. So you know what? Not really.
I mean, you only really talked to Paul about TV. You didn't even speak to me and Steve about TV, or yourself about TV.
And also, it'll be revealed on playback that you didn't even speak to me about my podcast. So, boo hiss to you.
Sorry.
It's fine. We'll keep it back for
No,
another day.
Steve.
Unbelievable.
No,
Unbelievable.
the floor is not going to Steve because I'm not doing that. Sorry, man.
To be honest, we're going to have to edit out.
But we both spoke about Witch Murderer. I didn't want to go around all four. So. Cue bumper.
It just got so awkward.
Right, well, Paul, what carrier pigeons can people use to find you and get in touch with you?
Sherpas now, isn't it?
Hedwig!
You can say a heckin' good doggo.
Heckin' good doggo. All doggo memes.
Bernard
accepted.
of the Saint with a little thing under his... What was that?
Someone recently asked you what you bring to the podcasts.
It was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It was my.
You asked yourself what you bring.
It was my missus. When I showed her the T-shirt, she said, "Oh right, so what is the whole network thing?" And I was like, "Well, Stu's got his channel, you know, the Ogre's Cavern. He talks about blah blah blah, and Steve does the American football, and Stobbie's got his podcast." But she said, "And what do you do?" And I said, I kind of keep the group chat ticking over with selections of memes, basically. This is what I do. and her comment was, and you got a shirt for that? yeah, I did, yeah.
It's the job you were born to do.
I was, yeah. So, yeah.
It's a beautiful contribution.
Without Paul, we'd have all just fallen out and left.
He's the glue.
I also just like zoom in on random background details of pics and go, what the hell's going on over there?
It turns out you were meant to do that in the picture I sent you.
At which I was pleasantly surprised. So yeah, I'm a total Luddite. You can find me by letter. Yeah.
Old West Courier.
1 FC Podnet Street.
Pod Towers.
Just put it on the Twitter or the Facebook, and
Yeah,
we will
absolutely.
get word to him.
Yes.
We would love it if someone did actually say that. I want to speak to Paul.
Send me a stamped address carrier pigeon.
You can slide straight into my DMs.
I like it.
Wicked laugh.
That was. I like that one.
Just the thoughts.
Yeah, rub-a-dub-dub.
Dilly.
Dilly.
Right.
Sorry.
God, I hate doing that.
Everyone, don't move. Don't say a word. Don't make a sound. Stu, would you like to sign off, please?
I'm right, Steve. Do you want to go first?
When am I allowed to talk? Once Stu's signed off and no one else has said anything.
Cheerio, guys. You can find me as usual at Barg the Ogre. There's a bunch of check out the RPG a Day articles on the website, and I'll see you down the road.
Thanks, Stu. Steve?
You will get me at WisePranker on Twitter, Stephen Houserath on Facebook or Instagram. You can get me through at the AFcast, which has been mentioned plenty of times there.
You're
So
due us
thanks
money.
very much. Yes, I know. Pay the man. Pay the man. That's what we used to say about American football. I'm going to go way off subject.
Show
I
me
can't
the
remember.
money!
Yeah. It's pretty much like that, actually, for real. Attacks. Attack of flying imperial mints. Help.
It bounced off his bottom lip as well. It nearly went in. It was a good shot. So anyway, as always, you can find us on all social media at FCPodNet, as well as online at fcpod.net, where you'll find another great shows as well. If you've enjoyed what you've heard from us and you think, I'd love to buy one of those guys a beer, probably not Stu, you can visit our patreon.com/FCPodNet site and support us there. Alternatively, and probably more importantly, you can tell your friends or us through social media, or email us on fcpodnet@outlook.com. Until next time, thanks for listening.
You've been listening to a podcast from the Fair City Podcast Network. Fair City Podcast is a part of Brit Pod Scene, an independent network of uniquely British podcasts that's always growing. Check out BritPodScene.com or follow Brit Pod Scene on Twitter to find out more.